Welcome to Voice Within. Today, we step into one of the most profound and heartbreaking chapters of human history, the story of Anne Frank. It's not just a story about war or tragedy. It's about a young girl's light, a light that refused to go out, even when surrounded by darkness. Through her diary, Anne didn't just record her life. She preserved her soul, her dreams, and the voice of millions who never got the chance to speak. This story will remind you of one powerful truth. Even when the world seems against you, hope is the most beautiful act of resistance. So, let's begin. Part 1. The Girl Behind the Name. Before she became a symbol of courage, Anne Frank was just a little girl. Born on June 12, 1929, in Frankfurt, Germany, her laughter filled the home of Otto and Edith Frank. She was curious, clever, and loved to write. Her sister Margot was calm and gentle, the opposite of Anne's fiery energy. But as Adolf Hitler rose to power, the Frank family, like millions of Jewish families, began to feel the tightening grip of hatred. They fled Germany in 1934, finding refuge in Amsterdam, hoping to start anew. For a few years, life returned to something normal. Anne went to school, made friends, and dreamed of becoming a writer or journalist. Yet, even in safety, shadows grew longer.
Part 2. The Storm Arrives. In 1940, Nazi Germany invaded the Netherlands. The persecution began, slowly, then suddenly. Jews were forced to register, wear yellow stars, and give up their rights one by one. Anne's father, Otto, watched as the world he promised his daughters began to crumble. By 1942, deportations had begun. Jewish families were being sent east. Few knew what awaited them: concentration camps, gas chambers, death. On her 13th birthday, Anne received a small red and white checkered diary. She called it Kitty. To her, it was more than paper. It was a friend, a witness, someone who would listen when no one else could. Just weeks later, Anne's sister Margot received a call-up notice for labor duty, a death sentence in disguise. That was the moment Otto decided. The Frank family vanished into hiding. Part 3. The Secret Annex. Behind Otto Frank's office building at Prinsengracht 263 in Amsterdam, there was a hidden door, concealed behind a swinging bookcase. It led to a small group of rooms, cramped, dusty, and silent. This became their world. They called it the Secret Annex. The Franks shared the space with another family, the Van Dans, and later a dentist named Mr. Dussel. 8 people in total, living in fear for over 2 years. Imagine that. No stepping outside, no sunlight on your face. Every creak of the floor, every sound from outside, a reminder that discovery meant death. And yet Anne found ways to live. She wrote, she dreamed, she laughed when she could. Her diary became her universe, where her thoughts could breathe freely, even when she could not. She wrote about her fears, her frustrations, her hope for a better world. She wrote about love, the flutter she felt for Peter Van Daan, the boy who shared her hiding place. I keep my ideals because, in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Those words, written by a 15-year-old hiding from death, still echo across time.
Part 4. The Weight of Silence.
Inside the annex, days blurred into nights. They listened to the sounds of life outside, footsteps, sirens, the ringing of church bells. Sometimes they dared to imagine freedom again. Anne would sit by the window, staring at a patch of blue sky. She wrote, "As long as this exists, this sunshine and this cloudless sky, how can I be sad?" But behind those words lay exhaustion. Tension grew among the hidden. Food became scarce. Fear never left. Still, Anne kept writing about growing up, about identity, about the kind of person she wanted to be. She wanted her diary to become a book, a record of what it meant to stay human when humanity was lost. In August 1944, after 762 days in hiding, someone betrayed them. The Gestapo stormed the building. They were arrested and sent away. Part 5. The Unspeakable Journey. The Franks were first taken to Westerbork transit camp, then transported to Auschwitz. It was the beginning of the end. Edith Frank, Anne's mother, stayed behind in Auschwitz and died of exhaustion. Margot and Anne were later transferred to Bergen-Belsen. There, disease and starvation ruled. The two sisters clung to each other until the end. In February 1945, just weeks before liberation, both Anne and Margot died, likely of typhus. Anne was only 15 years old.
Part 6. The Legacy Lives. Otto Frank, the only survivor of the annex, returned to Amsterdam. He discovered that his daughters and wife were gone. But then, something miraculous happened. Miep Gies, one of the brave helpers who had risked her life to protect them, handed Otto Anne's diary. She had saved it from the ransacked annex. As Otto read his daughter's words, he wept. He realized that her dream, to become a writer, to be remembered, could still come true. In 1947, The Diary of a Young Girl was published. It spoke to hearts across the world. It wasn't just a diary. It was a message from the depths of suffering, written in ink that would never fade. Anne's voice reached beyond her time. Her words became a symbol of hope, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. Part 7. The Light Beyond Darkness. Anne Frank's story isn't just about the Holocaust. It's about what survives when everything else is lost. In her darkest hours, she chose to write about beauty, love, and faith in humanity. She turned pain into poetry, fear into wisdom. Her life reminds us that every voice matters, that even the smallest light can defy the darkest night, and that hope, once written, can never die. So when life feels unbearable, when the world feels cruel or unfair, remember Anne. Remember her courage to keep believing in goodness, even when surrounded by hate. She reminds us that resilience is not about strength alone. It's about faith, compassion, and choosing to see light where others see only shadow. This was the story of Anne Frank, Hope in the Darkest Times, a story that whispers across generations. Never let your light go out. Never let fear silence your truth. Because even in hiding, even in heartbreak, your words, your dreams, your voice
can change the world. Thank you for watching Voice Within. And remember, hope is not found in the absence of darkness. It's found in your decision to keep shining through it.